Welcome back, everybody. I'm over here at Snail Fed Performance. Today we're going to be checking out my Evo build. It's finally getting done. It's been a long process, but it's just been taking way too long. Nate, he's working on my engine right now inside the shop. We're going to go in there and go check it out here in a minute. Today we'll finally be unveiling kind of the Evo itself. It hasn't been on the channel yet, and the 22 WRX shown over here. I still need to get that video up on that car on the 1-year review, but maybe this weekend we'll get to it. For right now, we're working on the race car. There's a race coming up down at Las Vegas Motor Speedway next month, and then over to Sonoma Raceway. So April 16th and April 23rd, just some open track days that we're gonna go hit and have some fun on, test out the Evo, see what it can do. It's not gonna be on any sort of crazy map or anything, but just on about 400 wheel or so, just to enjoy some racing with some friends, family, we'll see what this thing can do. So I'm excited to finally have this car back and show you the build. It is crazy how tiny of a motor it is.
Yeah. So, for one, we don't want the vibration of the motor to undo the bolts because obviously you need oil.
Some days we work on oil.
Days.
In case if anyone's wondering, the whole reason we're doing this is because I ran this car down to 2 quarts of oil and decided to go take it up our local mountain in the snow to go do some cookies and some powder. So this is what happens. It's just so crazy how small this motor is compared to any sort of other BMW motor that I'm normally around. And as most of you know, if you guys know me, I know absolutely nothing about the 4Gs. That's why this man right here is doing it all. So Nate, if you could you tell us a little bit on why it can make so much power?
Well, mainly the design. It's a cast iron closed deck block. You're able to put a lot of boost to these motors and it'll take it. The head design isn't the greatest compared to like the Evo 10s or the Hondas. It's almost a bulletproof block. The 4G64 block just has a taller deck because it's a 2.4 liter.
Mm-hmm.
But when you de-stroke it to a 2.1 liter, you get the RPM, you get a little bit more torque, but you get reliability versus you're going to break the transmission with a 2.4 liter.
Gotcha.
Buddy of mine out in Utah, he runs a 2.4 liter,
mm-hmm.
and he's constantly going through transmissions. The 2.3 stroker is another good one, but these drivetrains can't handle a whole bunch of torque. You're right around with a fully built transmission limited to about 650, 700-ish foot-pounds of torque. You really start running into issues, and that's even with like a TRE built trans.
Yeah, of course. Which just got back over from John from TRE, so excited to finally be able to throw gears as hard as I want. Before was grinding through the gears a little bit, so had the trans sent off over to John.
So with these, when you actually eliminate the balance shaft belts, sometimes you want to go in there and actually kind of port this relief port this direction on the edge that you can see like right there. So that way the relief port will actually open up a little bit and relieve the pressure before it gets over 150 psi. A lot of oil pressure isn't necessarily good, but as the motor gets older and gets a little looser and stuff like that,
mm-hmm.
You can always go in here and shim this. So at idle, you're sitting at like 25 psi.
Okay.
That's usually, 17 to 25. I usually like 25 at idle.
Yeah, and because of my last incident, this is the whole reason why I'm now carrying extra oil with me everywhere I go when I drive the Evo. What did you say? Quart?
It's a quart and a half.
Quart and a half. So we'll try not to run down to 2 quarts in the car anymore. We'll try and keep it just to 3 or so.
Well, the good thing is when you're down on the dipstick, say you do a few pulls and you just happen to forget, when you're down to the last notch on the dipstick, it means that you still got almost 4 quarts, a little over 4 quarts.
Oh, okay. Nice. So yeah, a little bit of the dummy proof.
Yeah, and these motors only run 4.5 quarts. A lot of people like to overfill them just a little bit and do the 5 quarts, but it really only runs 4.5 quarts when you do an oil change.
Yeah.
You hold an extra quart in the oil cooler.
All right, Nate, for the people who don't know, what's going on here?
All right, so this is a copper O-ring to help back up the fire ring on the stock head gasket. So this is wire that is 040 thick, and this hole right here is 030 deep. So we're getting 10,000 of protrusion and crush for the stock head gasket. So as you can tell, we got a little bit of protrusion, but this just keeps us from popping that head gasket prematurely. As Evos just love to do from time to time. And lift it up a little bit, bend that end down like that. Boom, almost seamless.
I mentioned before the first time this motor was taken apart was due to the oil getting run down to about 2 quarts or so. This is now the second time the motor's been getting put together. This previous time that it's happened was due to possible injector issue. Not exactly sure what exactly happened, but head's still good as far as that all goes.
So once you torque a set of head studs down, the threads have broken in to these threads here. So as you torque this down, if you have a different nut from a different stud after it's been torqued, you may not achieve the same torque standards than if when you pull the stud out, you leave the nut on there and then you just pull it out with the whole thing. And it's just good practice to always keep the nuts with the stud once you've torqued them once at least. These have been torqued about 3 or 4 times, so our threads are broken in between the threads and then the nut. So I always leave these paired up.
HLA oil pressure regulator. Nate, can you go over what the purpose of this guy is?
Well, basically what this does is this actually kind of restricts some of the oil going into the actual lifter valley, so that way, since these things stock only hold like 4.5 quarts, you don't want to blow all your oil pressure and all your oil into your head and rely on it draining back down. So this is designed to keep more of the oil in the block down inside the motor, and it only has one tiny, where is it? Because this is your actual regulator spring right there, and then you got one tiny little port on the bottom where it does blow the excess pressure, but it's just keeping more oil in the motor rather than in the head.
All right, here she is. We just got her rolled back in. Definitely going to need some work, some cleaning to get her back to how she was, but it'll be all worth it here in a little bit. Still need to get the harness clips right here to fold those up properly so they don't look so janky back here, but other than that, fuel system's all in and everything. We got the Radium Engineering double pumper setup with twin 525s in there. Carter's going to need a whole detail and paint correction. Also going to have to take this wing into Boise Carbon to get sanded down, cleared over again, and get it looking brand new. Also got a little spot right in here, but other than that, the car is super clean. As far as wheel and tire setup, it's got a 17 by 9.5 RPF ones with a 255/40 17 RT660 all around. All right, so Nate's got the trans all ready to go in. Just got to get the rest of this stuff done over here. Big old mess, the jalopy jungle in here. Alright, so Nate's got this all finished up here for today. Ready to get dropped in tomorrow. Hopefully get first start going and get the second video posted up.